friends, welcome back to Belle's Library. I'm Heather, and today we are going to go on a magical adventure. We are headed to the Orilium Academy. There are going to be 7 stops along the way that have some different architectural obstacles that we have to pass through. And in order to get through each of these stops, we have to read a book based on a prompt in each of these stops. If you guys have not heard about the Magical Readathon and how we're getting to the Orilium Academy, we are following our fearless leader, G, over at the Book Roast. And she has laid out the map. She has figured out how we're going to make it through all these obstacles. And she is just wonderful. So go and check out her video talking all about this world and everything to do with this readathon. We'll make sure to have that video down below for you guys. Also, before we start into our journey, please click subscribe. Also, my Instagram and Goodreads are down below so we can talk bookish on all platforms. So check that out. Now, let's go ahead and jump into what the obstacles are, what we have to read to get through these obstacles, and what books I'm gonna read to get through all 7 of these spots on this map. I will put the map here so you guys kind of have an idea of where we are traveling to and this lovely bumpy adventure I'm excited for. I'm ready. I'm gonna make it. We're gonna make it to the Orilium Academy and it's gonna be amazing. So the first thing is just the opening to the novice path here. And for this, we need to read a book with a map in it. We need to know where we're going, right? So for this one, I'm going to read Children of Blood and Bone by TO ORILIUM. Next, we're going to come upon the Ashtorn Tree. So for this one, we're going to be reading a book that keeps tempting me and saying, you need to read me already. You really want to. So for that one, I have Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I have been dying to get to this book, and I'm so excited to be doing it. Then we have to make it through The Mist of Solitude. For this one, we are reading a standalone, and I've got The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman. Next stop on our map here is The Ruin of the Skye. So for this, we need to read a book that has a ghost, some haunted house feels, or maybe some kind of supernatural. And for this one, I'm reading the book Horrid by Katrina Leno. Then we are moving into Obsidian Falls, where we have to read a mystery or thriller to pass on through. And we're going to read Final Girls by Riley Sager. The Tower of Rumination is next, and for this one, we need to read a 5-star prediction. I actually have a video out with a bunch of these, but for this, we're going to read Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. Then, to make it to our final stop of the Orilium Academy and get through that portal, we are going to read a book with a school setting, and that's going to be My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. So, let the adventure begin. Okay, let's start off our journey on the novice path. So we're at the opening, and our first prompt is to read a book with a map in it. So to get past this and move on in our journey, I'm going to be reading Children of Blood and Bone. And we do have this lovely map. It's actually in the front and the back. So we do have that. I can't show you the whole thing. This is a library book and it doesn't fully come off. So yeah, this is the book, and I read it, and it's wonderful, and I just adored it. So the beginning, I'd say like 40% of this book, I was like going through and I was like, I like this. It's an enjoyable YA fantasy story, and we're having a good time. And then the last like half of this book, like it picks up steam, and it was delicious and wonderful, and I loved it. So this story follows Zelly, and Zelly is living in this world where, magic used to be a part of Orisha and really just like be throughout the whole land. And then one night magic just like disappeared, and all of the magi were brutally just massacred. And her mom was a part of that. And when you're under 13, you're not a magi yet. You're a diviner, so you kind of get your magic at 13. So they didn't get rid of any of the diviners, but then from that point forward, they were treated as the scum of the earth. They're called maggots. They are just definitely the lower class, and everybody, taxes them extra, and it's just not pleasant, and it's not anything they can control. And part of what distinguishes them as a diviner is their white hair. So Zelly is a diviner, and then one day there's like this strange artifact that kind of shows up and seems to like have magical properties. Like if you touch it, some of their magic comes back. And so she's basically got this last ditch effort to bring magic back to the world. And so we're following her on her journey as she pairs up with an unlikely friend in the princess of the kingdom, or the land, or I don't know, the region, or whatever it is. And so we have Princess Amari, and so they're kind of unlikely, not foes, they seem like they would be foes, but allies, that's the word I'm thinking of. And then we have also the prince, who is out to basically find Amari and destroy Zelly and just not let any of this happen, and he wants to just get rid of all magi. And so that's kind of, we're following those three perspectives throughout the story, and it is just wonderful. Like, all of these characters, I just really ended up feeling something for, whether it was good or bad. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the character arcs quite a bit. I could imagine this world in my brain so well. The imagery, the atmosphere of this book is just wonderful. I feel like I know all the ins and outs of this world so well. I really enjoyed Princess Amari and her character arc. She's very like a naive kind of character at the beginning, and just not very strong. And you can just see like that's changing, and she's really building up, and she's going to be like a total badass in the next book. I can just imagine it. And Zelly, she's very fiery, and she's strong in her beliefs, and some of that gets a little shaken as she's kind of going through this journey, and we're trying to bring magic back. So yeah, I adored this. It was wonderful. 5 stars, great way to start our journey. And so we'll be moving on to our next landmark here in just a moment. Okay, we've got our second stop, which is the Ashtorn Tree. And this is to read a book that keeps tempting you, kind of top of the TBR pile. And so for this one, I read Skyward to get past it. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is my first Brandon Sanderson read. Everybody really seems to enjoy his books, and I can understand why. I feel like this book, I could just fly through it. As much as it was 500 pages, like, it did not take long to get through when I was reading it. I read through the first 200 pages so fast. I was just moving. He just writes in a very easily accessible way, but great storyline, great world building, characters that are unique and you care about, and just, I really enjoyed it. So if you don't know what Skyward's about, we're basically following Spensa, and she wants to be a pilot like her dad was, but her dad was found to be a coward in one of his last battles that he was in, and so she kind of is following that reputation, and she's really having to work hard to get over that. And she happens to find this old ship in a cave that's like broken down, so she starts kind of rebuilding it, and so she's like, oh, maybe this will help me also with becoming a pilot. And so we're kind of following her while she's going through flight school and just coming into a lot of obstacles along the way with that, as well as rebuilding this ship that has an AI in it, and the AI is so stinking funny. He reminds me a lot of Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory, just the way he talks. It's like, I'm a logical machine, and so this is how I think, and it just, I don't know. I was cracking up, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed all of the aspects. I loved the idea of this flight school and her going through it and all the kind of different obstacles coming along with that. Also, just each of the people that she goes to flight school with, and we're getting to know them a little bit more. And she is as well, and they, are struggling through it together. It was great, and I loved it, and it was 5 stars. So that gets us through our second stop on the way here, and we'll continue on to the next one. Well, hello guys. Today I decided to get through the Mist of Solitude, and it was pretty chaotic. I also got a salon trip. Chloe's salon, my daughter, she just did a great job, don't you think? And I've got a lot of extra little ones in the house right now, so there may be extra noise happening. So we're gonna try and get through this really fast. But The Mist of Solitude was to read a standalone. So I read The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman, and this is kind of a graphic novel, but also like not. It's kind of just almost a fairy tale. So you do have some really pretty art in here, but it's kind of still a lot more writing than I feel like you usually get in a traditional graphic novel. So I don't know, I guess it's more of like a fairy tale you're being told. And it's kind of a mix between Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, and they're kind of colliding stories. So we do have a Sleeping Beauty character who is sleeping, has, you know, pricked her finger already, been sleeping for like 80 years. And then we have Snow White, and she's already kind of become queen, and she's gonna get married very soon, but she ends up needing to go and save her kingdom from the sleep spell that seems to be spreading, and so she's going to go find Sleeping Beauty. So kind of the journey along the way to get there, and then also just what happens when she gets to this castle and such. So we've got kind of this intersection of two really fun stories, and I really enjoyed it. I think the art is just beautiful in here. It is all in black and white, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's great. I love a good fairy tale retelling, and I feel like Neil Gaiman, I read one of his other graphic novels that's much more of a graphic novel, but it is kind of a Snow White retelling, but where Snow White's the evil one and the evil queen isn't so evil, and I really loved that one. So I really enjoy when he does these kinds of concepts, and I find them very enjoyable, and this one was no different. I would say this one is probably, I didn't like it quite as much as the other one, but this one's still, I think, a good solid 4 stars. So yeah, really enjoyed this one, and we've made it through The Mist of Solitude. Okay guys, we are coming up on Ruin of the Skye, and we're gonna go ahead and make it through this stop in our journey by reading a book that has some kind of like a supernatural element, like a ghost or a haunted house or something like that. So for this prompt, I am actually going to be reading Horrid by Katrina Leno, or actually already did, sorry. What am I saying? So that's the book that I ended up reading for this, and I enjoyed it in a lot of ways and didn't enjoy it in other ways. So we're basically following Jane and her mom, Ruth, and they are moving back to Ruth's childhood home in Maine, and they're from California, and Jane's never been there, and Ruth hasn't wanted to go back, but they just lost Jane's dad, and they are a little short on money, so they need to go back and live there for a little while. Until they can kind of get back on their feet, and so they're obviously grieving and some stuff is going on there, but then there's just like strange things that are kind of happening at the house, and there's this room that her mom says is just like a storage closet and a storage area and stuff, but then like Jane finds out that it's like a little girl's bedroom in there, and she's like, why did my mom lie about this? What's really going on? And yeah, so we definitely had some kind of haunted house ghost themes going on in this book for sure. I really enjoyed Katrina Leno's writing in this, and I definitely want to read more of her books. I know that I have another one on my TBR. I think it's Summer of Salt, if I'm not correct. Or if I'm not correct. If I'm correct, I believe that's what it's called. And I really enjoyed her writing, and the atmosphere that she brought into this book I think was wonderful. So I would like to read more from her, but I would say that's probably my favorite part. It actually did creep me out a little bit. I was listening to it on audio on my way to school, and it was like 5 in the morning, so it's still like dark out, and I was like, this is kind of freaking me out a little bit right now. So I can definitely appreciate that it had some really good creepy vibes happening, and I was really enjoying the story throughout. We're trying to find out more about why Ruth's keeping a secret, and she seems to be just kind of spiraling being in this house, but then Jane's also feeling a little weird about the house, but she's, you know, finding some new friends at school and trying to get along and move along with their lives a little bit. But yeah, there's just like this kind of mystery element going on as well. Just weird stuff happening at the house. And I really enjoyed most of that. The ending just was not what I wanted. It was very, I feel like, short. It was a little bit too quick for me, and it just didn't pack the punch that I guess I was really wanting it to. I feel like it could have just been something more. I don't know. I was just a little let down by the ending of this. So I think overall I'm going to give this one a 3-star after I kind of threw it through Caw Pile because I was like, well, let's see where this kind of goes. Certain things definitely got a little bit higher, and then other things just didn't quite work as well. And so we ended up averaging a 3-star for this one. So yeah, I finished book for that one, and let's move on through this landmark and move on to the next one. We are starting to get closer to the end here, and we're moving through Obsidian Falls. This one, we need to read a mystery or thriller to make it through, and I have done that. I read Final Girls by Riley Sager. I have almost read all of Riley Sager's books. The only one I have not read so far is his most recent one. And so I'm trying to kind of work through a lot of his books and finally got through this one. This one I feel like tends to be one of the least favorite of Sager's books by a lot of people. And I'm inclined to agree a little bit on this one. This is his debut novel, and you can really tell. I feel like, having read a lot of Sager's books in the last couple months, he's got such an atmospheric writing that I really enjoy and just really gets me to where I feel like I'm there and I'm like in it. And I feel like that was really missing in this one. So in this one, we're following these final girls, and our main character, so a final girl, if you don't know, is basically like at the end of like a slasher film, there's always like one girl that's like left. And so she's a final girl. And so we're in New York, and we're following one of these final girls, and one of the other final girls in the world, there's 3 of them, ends up committing suicide. And she's kind of like a little mad and upset and sad about this and doesn't know how to take it. And then we have our second other final girl, other than these 2, basically comes and looks for our main character, and the 2 of them kind of start getting to know each other around this weird circumstance. So we're basically like getting to know these 2 final girls, and not only their past and how that's kind of affected their future, but you know, questioning whether there's something else going on with the other girl, and just stuff like that. I don't know. At first I was like, I'm not really sure where this is going. Like, we're just kind of following these final girls. And then like the kind of more mystery thriller elements started to come in. And of course, you know, you're always kind of questioning a lot of the characters in a book like this and trying to figure out who's really telling you the truth and who's not. And everybody's got kind of different motives. I just felt like it was a lot slower paced until like the last 100 pages, and then it just like everything just picked up, things were moving, and I feel like the ending was good. I was surprised it went somewhere different. This one definitely, like, if you're thinking about mystery and thriller being on a spectrum, some mystery thrillers kind of swing more towards mystery, some more towards thriller. I would say this one definitely, especially that ending, is very much more towards the thriller side of things. For me, I like the more mystery piece to it, so I don't know, it kind of missed a lot of things for me, but I'm not going to say that I didn't just enjoy the read, because I did. I like Sager's writing, and so I did enjoy it. There's also some pieces of Sager and the way that he kind of portrays his women with some of the men and stuff is a little like, having read all his books, it's a little annoying, but I can overlook it. So overall, between the 4 that I've read so far, I will rank them really fast for you. Lock Every Door is absolutely my favorite. I love that one. I didn't read Home Before Dark recently. I read it last year, and so I'm having a hard time between that one and The Last Time I Lied being in that 2nd or 3rd place. I feel like I need to reread Home Before Dark to really like see which one I like more. So those ones are kind of tied for like second and third, I would say right now. And then this one's going to come in last for me, and I rated it 3 stars. But we are officially through Obsidian Falls and moving on to the next leg of our journey. All right, guys, we are nearing the end of our journey, and we need to make it through the Tower of Rumination. In order to make it through this part of the journey, we need to read a 5-star prediction. And so I read last night at the Telegraph Club. This was actually on my most recent 5-star predictions video. So if you want to check out other books that I'm thinking will be 5 stars, I will definitely make sure that's linked for you guys up top and down below. But did I actually end up at a 5 stars for this one? First, let's talk about what this is about. So this is about, we're basically following our main character's Lily, and she lives in Chinatown in San Francisco during the Red Scare. And she meets Kath, and they go to the Telegraph Club together. And the Telegraph Club is a lesbian club in San Francisco, but in this time that's not widely accepted. It's not really accepted in her culture, her family, and so she's kind of just learning a little bit more about herself and what she kind of wants from life and how she feels about possibly being a lesbian, and kind of just exploring that side of her. And then, you know, falling in love with Kath, and we're just kind of following these 2 girls as they are getting to know each other. They're both in their last year of high school, and they go to the Telegraph Club together, and it's kind of our setup. It's a historical fiction, and I thought this was going to be a 5-star. I was hearing great things about it, and I really enjoyed the story quite a bit. It was kind of like a slower paced book. It was definitely more like a character driven type of a book, and we are just kind of following them and getting to know them and their family. And the writing, I think, was great. I liked learning about the time period a little bit more. At the end of the book, I actually listened to this one on audio. The author talked about a little bit of why she chose to use like certain language, or how she tried to incorporate different things that were happening during that time period into the book, and how people would react or be this or that would be going on, and how she kind of put that into the book so that she kind of showed that she was trying to be historically relevant to that time period. So I thought that was really cool. And I overall, I really did enjoy the story quite a bit, and I enjoyed getting to know Lily and going to the Telegraph Club with her. There's not like a huge plot to the story. It's really just kind of a character story, but overall I did give this one a 4 stars. So I really liked it quite a bit, but it didn't quite hit the 5-star for me, and that's okay. I'm still happy with the 4-star. Unfortunately though, it wasn't a 5-star out of my predictions. So we have one last stop after this, and then we'll be there. So excited. Okay guys, we are almost there. Our last prompt is going to get us to the ORILIUM Academy, and that is to read a book that is in a school setting. And I read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, and I've been really enjoying reading more of his works. And this one is set in the 80s, and we're following these teens that are in high school. And so we're following mainly these 2 girls, and they became best friends. We kind of like, you know, learn a little bit more about when they became really good friends and how that worked out. And now they're in high school, and they've got a couple other friends, but one of them starts acting really odd and mean and awful, and she gets kind of like sick, and just all kinds of weird stuff starts happening. And the other girl is just like, something's wrong with my best friend, and she thinks that she is possessed. And so we're kind of following her journey, and I have to say, very cute setup. I feel like Grady Hendrix always has really fun ways that he makes his books come together. So it looks like people like signed a bunch of things in a yearbook, just totally adorable. And then the titles of the chapter are a lot of times like 80s songs or something. She blinded me with science. And so that's kind of cute. And like in the back, it's got like, you know how the yearbooks have the ads in the back for when you're a senior and or in high school and stuff. So I just think that's adorable. But I definitely enjoyed the kind of just setup of that. And there's other little things in here sometimes for, like they wrote on this little piece of paper that there, and there's a few different things like that scattered throughout the book as well. So I personally really enjoy having those elements in a book. I think it just adds a little something extra to them. But my overall feelings about the story, I enjoyed it. I don't know that it's one of my favorites of Grady Hendrix, but I still thought it was a good story. I feel like the first half I didn't enjoy as much as the second half of the book. I feel like the first half felt so similar to the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I was just like, I feel like the same things are happening. We're just in a teenage perspective at the school versus this book club of 90s housewives and being in kind of that more of a setting, but like a lot of the same tropes were happening where nobody was believing them, and it felt so similar. And then the second half, I feel like, is where the stories really got different and there was different things happening because we're talking about an exorcism versus a vampire. So overall, I gave this one a 4-star. I still definitely enjoyed the story and I'm glad that it did go somewhere different because I was getting a little worried there for a minute. But I liked our characters, and there was definitely like the exorcist was an interesting character, and the direction it went definitely surprised me. And I think that, I guess, I don't know, I feel like this one had a little bit more gory moments, or maybe it was just like moments where I was a little more grossed out, because I know there's a little bit of that in the Southern Book Club's Guide for Slaying Vampires. Gosh, it's such a long name. Anyways, he does have some of that, but it's not like over the top to me. Like, I am good with gore, but like to a point. Like, The Troop by Nick Cutter was way too much for me, but I enjoy the sprinkling of it into Grady Hendrix stories. So overall, it was a 4-star, and it got us all the way to the ORILIUM Academy. Woo-hoo. We made it! We made it to the ORILIUM Academy. Oh my gosh, read all 7 books, made it through all of those wonderful obstacles along the way. It has been a wonderful ride. I'm so excited that I read all of those books, and it was a blast. So let's just run through the 7 books, how they went, how I enjoyed them, and just really quick. And then we made it. We made it. Yes, we made the goal. So we had Children of Blood and Bone. Loved it, 5 stars. We had Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. That one also loved, 5 stars. Sleeper in the Spindle, really enjoyed that one, 4 stars. Horrid by Katrina Leno, enjoyed parts, not other parts, 3 stars. Final Girls by Riley Sager, kind of same story as Horrid, 3 stars. Last Night at the Telegraph Club, unfortunately not a 5-star, but 4 stars, it was still good. And last but not least, My Best Friend's Exorcism, also a 4-star. So overall, we had some great reading for the Magical Readathon, and we made it to the ORILIUM Academy. So now we just need to build our character and give our character some training or something. So we'll be looking into that. Stay tuned. It'll come out sometime. I'm not totally sure yet. If you guys made it this far, I would absolutely love if you would put down maybe like a cute little butterfly emoji, because I don't know, that sounds adorably cute. Maybe these are like little butterflies or fireflies or something. Anyways, so excited that I made it here. If you guys have made it to the ORILIUM Academy with me, let me know down below. Hopefully we didn't lose too many people along the way, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.